Yeah, look, I actually also, just to maybe riff on this Grok 3 thing for 1 second, I had 3 takeaways. My first takeaway was I was sneakily surprised on the pre-training upside on having a larger cluster. So I think that that's very pro NVIDIA actually. And it's actually also just really good in general for foundational model makers. So I think like that's like a really positive thing. The second thing is, I don't know if you watched the live stream, but did you guys hear some of the stuff that these guys had to pull this thing off? One of the most incredible. So the way that Elon narrated it was, we first had a physical problem. So we just had to search all around the country for one single location where we could actually put 100,000 GPUs. And they found it, which was an old Electrolux factory in Memphis. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
But power.
Yeah. He only had like 15 megawatts and he had to get a 1/4 gigawatt. And so he had to basically buy every useful generator that was available. But then they had to liquid cool it. And so they bought 1/3 of all the portable liquid cooling capacity in America and located it on-prem. But then they figured out that there was a power problem. So then they took all these Tesla power packs and then had to do power smoothing, which had to rewrite all of the power pack firmware. In all of this, you know how we talked about DeepSeek being this moment where we had lost sight in America of capital being the source of innovation? He proves actually a more generalized rule that I took away from this, which is you always have to have a constraint. So meaning, let's say that there's like infinite capital in his case and infinite talent because he can basically recruit anybody he wants. What did he do instead? He created this artificial constraint of time. And so he was just able to say, you're going to get this done in a moment. And Nick, I showed the third graph that the guys at Artificial Analysis sent to me. I just want to put it up here because it shows you guys. The quality of Grok 3 relative to the amount of time that they've spent on this problem is, to me, what's staggering. So if you just sort of project the rate of change of this, and this is without judging OpenAI or Anthropic or anything else, those guys have been doing it for years. These guys have been doing it for a year. And they did all of this MacGyver engineering and were able to pull this off. So that's my second takeaway, is that innovation needs a constraint. Sometimes it's capital, sometimes it's talent, and physics. Sometimes it's time. And so if you can basically be just completely rigid on one of those dimensions, you can get a great team to create something. So that was an interesting takeaway. And then the third is, I think what this also speaks to is the notion of like a keiretsu, right? Which is like the Japanese word for like